One of the case studies that follows through the whole book is on the Titanic.
Yeah.
It's well known,
it.
it's well researched, it's easy, and it helps kind of crystallize some of the concepts.
Yeah.
And I talk about the technology right down to the ship's construction.
Yep.
It had 3 engines. The only engine that had a rudder was the middle engine that didn't have reverse.
Right.
Right? So right down to the construction and the number of lifeboats, because they were depending on surrounding ships to come should there be a horrific event to save these folks. So I talk about the technology, I talk about the science,
Right.
you know, plotting the course and looking at the currents, looking at things like icebergs and making all those considerations. But I also talk about the art and how those two dynamics feed into the decision making. So, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but there was a white-knuckled, I'm not going to be in New York late with these high-profile passengers. I'm not changing my goal, even when all the data, all the information, all the technology indicated that they should stop, like all the other surrounding ships, and wait the icebergs out. They didn't. They pressed on. Even if they had pressed on, and they had the technology to actually throw that engine in reverse and still steer, they could have avoided it.
Right.
Or they might have been able to go full steam and actually make it there even sooner by throttling it and letting that water from the center engine go over the rudder so they could turn and avoid disaster. So that's one example that follows through the book. Yeah. And then I use case studies like I use Blockbuster.
Yeah. Love it.
And so this is an example of how not to be fragile, and then I talk about Netflix and how they were fragile.
Yes.
You know, you look at Blockbuster, they had a corner on the market, but they were so hard and fast on the goal and the metrics driving that goal. Let's raise the late fees, let's do all these different things. Brick and mortar is not going anywhere. That actually Lee Hastings, the founder of Netflix, had late fees of some exorbitant amount, and he actually founded Netflix. And so Netflix was actually offered to Blockbuster for, I think, $50 million. Today's valuation of Netflix about $40.5 billion.
Right.
So it's massive. And so what Netflix did is they saw an opportunity, and their business model was not brick and mortar. It was actually sending the discs and people would return them, right?
Right.
But they didn't stop there.
Right.
They kept looking. They kept thinking about all these different things.
Well, they married it up with the innovation, the progression of technology, and said that's where we need to be.
So where Blockbuster held on to a dying thing with brick and mortar,
right.
Netflix took the original disc concept and moved it into streaming, and we all know where they are now. So those are some case studies that I outline in the book, you know, as well as a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what I think is important, and I love these real life examples, but you know, from the first time we've been talking about this, really understanding where this connects for us in the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think I mentioned to you, I have this book on my bed. I've used it, Fragile in Sentences, and you know, I have people interested, and I quickly say it's, you know, it's the agility to execute your strategy, basically. So I've totally
Can I use that? That's actually
that.
better than what I said. So folks, listen to her. That was better.
But it is, and especially when we get into the conversation around art and science and what that really looks like. But you know, again, kind of bringing it back a little bit to the execution of real work that we're doing. Mm-hmm. Talk with me a little bit about the components. And I think there's 5 or 7 of them that you outline in the book. Just give me a quick rundown.
Sure.
From strategy, I think it's from strategy to execution.